Super Mario Bros. Wonder marks the death of the Switch. The Switch is nearly 7 years old, and now we're finally getting the 2D Mario it needed. Now, if we look back, when the Switch released 6.5 years ago, it graced us with Breath of the Wild, and a few months later, Mario Odyssey, the two quintessential games for the Switch's entire existence. Years before that, they launched the Wii U with Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and ended the Wii with Skyward Sword as the last major published game. At the Wii's launch, we had a bit of a diversion with Twilight Princess, but on a technicality, a full year later we got Mario Galaxy. But then for the GameCube, it started with huge Mario spin-offs of Super Smash Bros. Melee and Luigi's Mansion, then ended with Twilight Princess. And the last one I'll use for today, for the sake of a more modern perspective, we have the N64. Obviously launching with Mario 64 and, well, more or less ending with Majora's Mask, and if you'd like to count it, Paper Mario a few months later. For the major Nintendo releases of these consoles, 3 out of 4.5 times it ended with Zelda and started with Mario. It's not a law or anything, but it does seem intentional. Now, why would this make me say Mario Wonder is the death of the Switch? Well, I'll tell you, right after today's sponsor, nobody. Okay, let's get into it. Now, if you're anything like me and many others, up until June, you hadn't really expected any new Super Mario games until the Switch 2's released. We hadn't really seen any major Mario games for a while, but it felt more like they were preparing for the next console rather than working on the Switch releases. We had just gotten Tears of the Kingdom, and with games like Mario Maker 2 and Bowser's Fury, and without a hint of Mario Kart 9 or Odyssey 2 on the horizon, it felt like Mario was fine just taking a vacation and floating about during this generation. And I would have to say the thing that makes it most abundantly clear was the announcement of the Mario Kart Booster Course DLC. Randomly, we're getting 48 new tracks for a 9-year-old game? I've seen some crazy stuff in my day, but that was just incredible. And insane. Even just the Switch version of this game is 6 years old, and we're only now getting new tracks? What's up? They could have packaged this all into a brand new Mario Kart for the Switch 2, or even this console, and most people would buy it. And I'm sure Nintendo knows this. So why? Now, throughout the Switch, we still got a game for each of Mario's major spin-offs, even Mario Strikers, although not Mario Sluggers. Yet. But even so, why shouldn't we have gotten more Mario? After all, if it wasn't for the Switch 2 leaks I partly discussed in my last video, which you can check out after this, who's to say we wouldn't be getting new Switch games for the next 2 years? I mean, we still can and will, but even so, I don't think many of us were expecting the release of Mario Wonder, so why? And why now? I can't fully answer that. For that, I would have to be Miyamoto himself. But there's a reason we only got Mario Wonder, Mario RPG, and the Princess Peach game, but no 3D Mario. For Mario RPG and the Princess Peach game, and Luigi's Mansion 2 if we want to throw it in here, no matter how much you love these franchises and the possibilities they hold, because believe me, I do, you have to face it that they aren't console sellers. I'd be a little surprised if any of these got more than 15 million sales at most. Now, how about Mario Wonder? That's a console seller, right? No, it's not gonna kill the console before it's born, but if you look at the Wii U, it certainly doesn't help. The people who buy the console in the first half year aren't usually the masses, it's the fans. The hardcore fans. Everyone loves 2D Mario. You bring Mario to a German party in 1942, you'll be the talk of the town. But when it comes to the people who want to experience the console, it's never going to be the same as massive 3D adventures. Whether that's Zelda or Mario, the best 3D platformer on the market. Fight me, Spyro fans. 2D Mario is best for the people who have already experienced the console, and just want a little more Luigi in their lives. Now, with Mario Odyssey 2, if we had gotten it 2 or 3 years ago, it would be a much more different conversation. But we didn't. Like I said at the beginning, it's never exactly the case, but for the lifespans of Nintendo consoles, it usually starts with a huge Mario game and ends with a huge Zelda. For the Wii U and Switch, I can easily explain why those didn't exactly follow in line. The Switch was succeeding the Wii U, and Nintendo wanted to get out of the Wii U generation fast. This was mostly the same situation for the GameCube to the Wii. Then for the Zeldas, both times, Nintendo delayed the games to put them on the hardware better suited to succeed. And how about those Marios? Well, again, within a year of the console's release, we got the big 3D Mario games. If they didn't have the Zeldas, they would have just waited for Mario to be ready, or just rushed the game out. Nintendo loves their Italian plumber man, and Mario Wonder is an amazing new take on him. Your life was incomplete before the existence of Elephant Mario, and anyone lucky enough to be born after its conception will lead a better life because of it. And yet, it's going to murder Nintendo's best-selling home console. Now, what do I mean by that? Is Lengthy Toad gonna jump up onto your table and stab your Switch? No. And Daisy isn't gonna break everyone's console, and Luigi isn't gonna do anti-Luigi things. However, Mario Wonder is going to be the Switch's last hurrah. I'm going to bet this video's entire ad revenue on chicken nuggets that, aside from Pokemon, since it's not technically Nintendo, and Metroid Prime 4, for a reason I'll get to in a moment, that Mario Wonder will be the last major Nintendo Switch game. That's broad, but in general, I would say that's over 5 million copies sold. I could be shooting myself in the stomach with this one, since surely Mario RPG and this Princess Peach game could surpass it. But I will say for a fact, Mario Wonder will be the last game to break 10 million sales. Besides Pokemon, because somehow, I'm not even gonna get into that. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is the Switch killer, or I suppose a better way to put it is Super Mario Wonder is the Switch's dying breaths. It's not that the console is choking out on the floor, or that Mario Wonder is a bad final game, but it's marking the death of the Switch. Now, what about Metroid Prime 4, since it keeps coming up? Why won't that kill the Switch? Well, I don't think it's going to be a Switch exclusive. I've said this on and on before, but I propose Metroid Prime 4 to be the launch game for the Switch 2, and the final first-party Nintendo release on the Switch. I don't think Metroid Prime 4 will sell as good as something like Breath of the Wild, since Metroid never really has sold well. But I think making it the launch title will be best for the game itself and the Switch 2. But launching the Switch 2 with a less than stellar selling franchise is going to kill it, at least in the short term. And that's where our favorite 3D Mario comes in. Maybe it's Odyssey 2, or more likely a completely new idea. But there's no chance on Earth the next console doesn't launch with the next Mario game. Unless they also want to make a new Mario Sluggers game, then add another next. But back to the Mario Kart 8 DLC, why wouldn't they have just made Mario Kart 9 instead for the Switch 2? Money? Okay, well, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the second highest selling Nintendo game of all time, of all systems, right behind the pack-in title Wii Sports, so it becomes a pretty smart idea to add DLC for their biggest game. The Switch has been home to the highest selling releases for most Nintendo franchises, except most notably, Super Mario Bros. Not the 3D platformers, or the kart games, or the smashing games. No, those all did exceptionally well on Switch, but specifically the 2D side-scrolling Mario. Now, I think it could be a long time before we see a new 2D Mario at the top of the charts, since the current highest selling is Super Mario Bros. NES at over 45 million, and New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe couldn't even beat Mario DS or Wii, and with the combined sales of the Switch and Wii U versions, barely beat Super Mario Bros. 3. Is it just that these games don't have wide enough appeal for the Switch's audience, or is it because it's a port? Well, Mario Kart 8 makes me want to say neither and both. Just barely under half of the Switch install base owns Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, a port of a Wii U game. Why should Mario Kart have a wider appeal than Mario Bros? I don't think it should inherently. While Mario Kart is always easy to pop in at parties, 2D Mario can be enjoyed by anyone. Even the average Doomslayer can sit down for a few hours with a beer in hand playing Mario. So what stopped the Switch's first 2D Mario from breaking charts? Probably the same thing that kept the original game and New Super Mario Bros. 2 from breaking charts. Seen it, played it, finished it. To the average player, these games all look the same and play the same. And to the hardcore fans, they already played it on the Wii U. But then with Mario Kart 8, it's Mario Kart. For everyone who didn't buy the Wii U, which is everyone, this is a brand new Mario Kart for them. And for hardcore fans, it's Mario Kart. Even though it was 3 years old when it released on Switch, and now 6 years later, it can still feel fresh. And without Mario Kart 9, there's no reason to not own it. But for Mario U Deluxe, there was no reason to own it. If you want to play 2D Mario, you have Mario Maker 2. And if you want to play an excellent platformer, you have Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. And while combined, the sales of these two didn't even get close enough to pass Mario U Deluxe, I hope it paints the picture that if you want to play a Mario game, you would choose nearly anything else. But now we finally have a 2D Mario. Not just worth buying, but interesting beyond being just another 2D Mario. I don't want this to sound like I dislike New Super Mario Bros. U, or really any of the new games. I don't. But we've all felt the sameness of the franchise. Even though we haven't gotten a new game from it for 10 years, I still feel like we're looking at the same slideshow of the same circle with the mustache. But now, we have a new breath of life in the franchise, and I'm going to say this one last time, but that breath of life is the last breath of the Switch, or the Switch One as we might be calling it in the coming years. Mario Kart is almost finished once we get to the final wave with the next Direct. Tears of the Kingdom is finally out after years of waiting. We've been finished with Smash Ultimate for almost a year now, and we're finally capping off with the 2D Mario the Switch always deserved, but never necessarily needed. The only thing left for the Switch is Metroid Prime 4, and if that doesn't appear during the September Direct, then face it, it's never coming to Switch. But until then, we'll just have to wonder. We'll have to Super Mario Bros. Wonder. With that, if you enjoy these videos, subscribe, and if you want to support me, join my memberships and get access to our community Discord. It's just me right now, but a party of one is a party of fun. Right? I don't know. Make sure to drink water every day, and as always, keep cool.